Join me for a drive comparing highway drive assist on the Hyundai Ioniq 5 to the Comma 3X and OpenPilot software. I've wanted to test the Comma 3X for about a year now. I know this $200 discount right now is what really pushed me over the edge to buy it. This is not sponsored by Comma 3X in any way. I paid full price for this device with my own money, and I stand nothing to gain by you buying it or not buying it. A lot of you are interested in my take on the device and how it integrates with Hyundai. So I'm going to take you for a drive. We're going to do a side-by-side comparison. Highway drive assist versus OpenPilot and the Comma 3X. Before we hit the road though, you might notice I've got an Ioniq 5 on my t-shirt. I made this design in Adobe Illustrator, and I've got some other cool designs featuring the charging light indicators of all the various Hyundai Kia Genesis EVs. So check out the link in the description to my Spreadshirt shop, and you can purchase these in pretty much any color you like. Any size. They're made to order and they will ship directly to your doorstep. Before we hit the road, I'll tell you a little bit about the device. So the Comma 3X is a smartphone-sized device that mounts to your car's windshield. And you can see here it's just one wire, one USB-C cable that goes up here to the mirror section. Now behind the mirror, there is a cable that plugs into the front camera that's built into any car. And then beyond that, there is also another cable that runs along the windshield here and then goes down the A-pillar, and then that plugs into your OBD2 port. So this device runs an open source software, which gives your car an elevated version of, say, highway drive assist in our case. Now, what this is going to do is it's going to really track the road markings very well. Even if there are no road markings, it can still navigate through turns. And many times, if there's no road markings, it can still determine the edge of the road and follow it. Now, on the front here is a front-facing camera, which is going to watch you and make sure you are paying attention, because this device requires full attention, even though it can basically self-drive on the highway. So the company behind this device, Comma AI, they create the major software for the car, and then there are 3 other versions of the software run by small communities of developers. So I am currently running what is called SunnyPilot, which is much more ideal for the Ioniq 5 and other Hyundai Kias because of the way it interacts with the existing systems in the car. So for instance, many of you know that when you're in highway drive assist, you can activate both lane keep as well as adaptive cruise at the same time. But you might also know that you can disable lane centering, or you can disable cruise and just have one or the other. And this is really nice if you, say, want to control your acceleration and deceleration yourself, or if you want to steer the car yourself but still have adaptive cruise. With the stock version of OpenPilot, that is not possible. It's either both systems are on or both systems are off. And that is really nice because when you're on back roads or side streets, you're going to want to control the acceleration and deceleration yourself, but you can still let it steer. I'm not going to get into all the nitty-gritty in this video, but there are many settings that you can play with and change and see how it changes the way that the Comma 3X drives the vehicle. Now, this device could more or less drive you from start to finish on any route. I have not played with that feature yet, but it is possible that you could just give it a destination. It will figure everything out, every turn, and get you there. So when using this device, you will not have to touch the steering wheel at all, which is very much unlike highway drive assist that is built into the Hyundai Ioniq 5 or Ioniq 6. Typically, if you're in stop-and-go traffic at like less than 10 miles per hour, it won't yell at you to put your hands back on the steering wheel. But if you're on the highway and driving at 70 miles per hour, typically after about a minute and a half, it will yell at you to put your hands back on the wheel, and you will have to give it a little bit of a nudge and put some torque into that steering wheel for it to know that you are still there and paying attention, because the Ioniq 5 does not have any front-facing cameras, kind of like the Tesla does for its full self-driving or even autopilot. Now, I have had this device hooked up for several weeks now, and I have had no issues with my 12-volt battery draining. But depending on the state of your 12-volt battery, I'm not going to say definitively that having this plugged in might drain your battery. You can see that I have driven over 207 miles with this engaged, and it's been excellent so far. So you can also set it to turn off automatically and not draw power after 10 minutes. You can go up to 30 minutes, an hour, or 3 hours. I like to keep it short just in case so it doesn't drain the battery. All right, so I'm going to go out and we're going to run the same loop twice, once in highway drive assist and once running the Comma 3X. All right, so let's start out this drive on some side streets. So you can see in the upper left of your screen is the car without the Comma 3X. And down below it is the car with the Comma 3X. Now, I'm currently running SunnyPilot version 0.9.6, which is the newest version. And here I cannot get highway drive assist to activate on the car. I believe that has to do with the fact that there is no solid white line on the right side. Down below, you're going to see the Comma 3X have its first little hiccup here. I was taking this turn relatively quickly. If I slowed down, I could have probably navigated it without having to take control of the steering wheel there. But you can see just how well it actually performs on these twisty, turny Connecticut roads. You can see it really putting in some angle here in this turn. You can see when I do take control, that box around the screen disappears. Now, when it comes to turns with the Comma 3X, as it stands right now, you have to manually handle turns, which is fine. There are experimental versions of the software that will do full self-driving, meaning you put in an address and it will take you there. It will handle all the navigation and turns and lane changes for you. So you can see coming around this turn here, steering wheel is doing a good job, pretty much staying in my lane. You'll notice on the Comma's screen, there is a big green band down the middle of the screen. That is going to be your lane. And then to the left of that, there is a yellow marking representing the double yellow line in the middle of the road. And then there is a red marking on the right side marking the edge of the road. So in the upper left screen, I'm basically just manually driving the car because highway drive assist just will not activate at these kind of low speeds on these side streets. SunnyPilot is working great. Even as you crest a hill, it can still see far enough ahead that it can project those lane markings and keep turning. Now I am manually operating the accelerator and deceleration of the vehicle. I could put it into adaptive cruise control here and it would maintain speed. There's also a mode where you can have it maintain speed, but it will adjust for turns and such. So you can see coming down this road, doing a good job keeping me in my lane. And after driving for nearly 5 minutes now, you can see I've only had to really engage with the car twice. 3 if you count the time that I had to actually perform a turn. And in the over 200 miles I've been driving with the Comma 3X running SunnyPilot, this has just been par for the course. It just operates so well that you very rarely have to take control from the system. So now we're going to wrap up these little side streets and we're going to go ahead and get on a state road here with a higher speed limit of about 45 miles per hour, and we'll see how it does there. So we're on that road now. You can see I've got both systems operating. Highway drive assist on the top is now working, but it is saying, grab the steering wheel and let us know you're there. SunnyPilot does not require that. But you can see Highway Drive Assist 2 holds its own when it does have both road markings for it to actually watch. But again, the big downside of Highway Drive Assist is you have to constantly nudge the steering wheel. And you can see around this corner here, Open Pilot did really well. Highway Drive Assist 2, not so much. I had to take control from the car there. But for the most part, Highway Drive Assist 2 does work pretty well. I'm not sure why Hyundai doesn't trust Highway Drive Assist more than it does, because it does seem like a pretty capable system. And it seems like they could get it to a level of Comma 3X with SunnyPilot with just a few tweaks maybe. So you can see just how many times I've had to grab the wheel on Highway Drive Assist, but Open Pilot still running very smoothly. And now we're on the highway where the system really shines. So you can see up top with Highway Drive Assist, I just held the turn signal and moved the steering wheel to merge into the center lane. Highway Drive Assist is really picky about how much torque it wants you to put into the steering wheel to merge with that system. So I don't even use it. But with SunnyPilot, all you got to do is just tap the turn signal stalk like I'm doing right now, and it will just move right over. Now, there is a little weird action that just took place there. That's probably the first instance I've seen it do that. But you can see both systems are really holding their own, but you can tell just by my posture that I feel much more comfortable with Open Pilot versus Highway Drive Assist. And I got to grab the wheel again. But I've done probably over 100 miles on the highway now, and the system performs flawlessly. Never had any major issues in the last 2 weeks that I've been using it. It's made highway driving chill, just like they claim it will. With Highway Drive Assist, yeah, it really helps on the highway and on long drives, but you still have to keep your hands more or less on the steering wheel. The only time I've ever really experienced Highway Drive Assist working for any length of time is in stop and go traffic below 10 miles per hour, and it will go for minutes on end before it asks you to grab the steering wheel again. But with Open Pilot, that's just never a concern. And unlike with Highway Driving Assist, Open Pilot has that front-facing camera, so it's always watching you and making sure you're paying attention. If you aren't paying attention, it's going to disengage the system. So we're coming up on the off-ramp here, and all I'm going to do with Open Pilot is just signal over and it'll get on the off-ramp. Highway Drive Assist, you have to signal and give it just the right amount of torque in order to start that process. But yeah, that's going to wrap up this little driving section on the highway. So there you have it, folks. That is the Comma 3X running SunnyPilot. I really enjoy this system. This is game-changing for me. I know a lot of you are going to say, well, Highway Drive Assist 2 is good enough. And yeah, Highway Drive Assist 2 is great if you don't mind having to keep your hands on the steering wheel and nudging it every once in a while. But if you want a totally hands-off driving experience that you can totally trust, I cannot recommend the Comma 3X anymore. Now, off the highway on side streets, for the most part, it's excellent. As you saw, Highway Drive Assist 2 basically doesn't work below 40 miles per hour on side streets. So in my opinion, this is just a whole nother level of self-driving. I am running a stable version of the software right now, but I believe in the experimental developer versions, it will read stop signs, red lights, come to a complete stop at those, and then accelerate when they turn green or after the cars at the intersection pass through. But I have not tried that yet, something to check out in the future. So overall, it's way more capable than Highway Drive Assist 2 is. So let me know down in the comment section, are you going to pick one up? But as somebody who likes to play with the newest tech and kind of just be on the leading edge of things, I really enjoy having this in my car. But anyway, guys, if you liked today's video, give it a thumbs up, subscribe if you haven't already done so. Check out my Spread Shop store if you want some cool clothing, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Take care, everybody.